think we're going to put a new sump pan on this because it looks like I've come into contact with the ground a little bit, maybe. How many times can I tell this camera to f off? 73. So today we are taking the bottom end apart a little bit on the engine just to check over to make sure that the crank's still alright, bearings are still okay, and we don't have to do anything there like rebuild the bottom end, which would be nice. So let's get into it. This little guy basically is a dial gauge, and we can measure the bolt stretch with this. Now, even though ARP hardware is made very accurately, there's differences in friction between the bolt head and the rod base, which means that if you do it purely to torque, you might have differences and there might be minor manufacturing tolerances. So we'll measure all of the bolts before we start putting them together. Once we've got them in, torqued and the angles set, we then measure them again to make sure that the actual bolt stretch is within the manufacturer's tolerance, so they will then actually be the correct torque.
So because we're reusing the shells, obviously you've got float in the rod.
Yeah.
You don't want to be tweaking the rod.
We were planning to just replace the shells, just to be safe. However, the exact shells that we used when we built the engine, you literally cannot get hold of at the moment. Nowhere will even give me a lead time for them. And the only alternative is to go to ARP Race Series. However, don't believe the ARP Race Series bearing clearance is exactly the same as the Clevitt H Series that we used. Now, we were taking this apart to just check to see if the bearings are still alright, and what we've seen is there's obviously been a tiny bit of contamination in the metal, in the oil. So it's not disastrous, it's not perfect, but it's good enough for us to put back together and keep running with. It's not so serious that we need to change bearings.